committees and the importance of these standing committees. They have 3 tasks, all right? Legislation is the first task. Committees are going to focus on their legislation, and the members of those committees, remember, any member of Congress that tells you they read all the bills that Congress considers, they're lying to you. They focus on the bills that their committees focus on, okay? So if you're on the Education Committee, you're going to focus mainly on education bills, all right? Legislation's your number 1 priority, all right? Tammy, you're looking at me funny like I've skipped something. Oh, I'm sorry. Did we not mention those? Okay, let's go back for a second, all right? Types of committees, okay? I thought we had mentioned that. Let's go back and types of committees. Standing committees and special committees. This won't take us long to get through here, okay? Joint committees. Joint committees are committees which overlap and have members of the House and members of the Senate. There are some issues they feel like we should just make special committees that have members of the House and the Senate in them. Those are joint committees. I would tell you this, on the AP exam, they won't ask you a whole lot about joint committees other than simply what they are. All right, it's relatively straightforward. Now, conference committees is much more significant. All right, for anything to get passed as a bill in Congress, the same law has to go through both the House and the Senate, and we know that. But it has to be the same version, and that's really tricky sometimes because the House, like for example, COVID relief, all right? The House passed a version of the COVID relief bill, and then the Senate got it, and they tweaked it a little bit and said, we think this way would be better, all right? When they have different versions of the same bill, and they both pass them, you have to form what's called a conference committee, okay? To iron out the differences between those 2 versions. So when the House and the Senate pass different versions of the same bill, they form a conference committee to iron out those differences so they can get the same text. And it does matter. It has to be exactly the same. That's what a conference committee's for. And when that conference committee is done, once they do their job and they resolve the differences, that's it. They're gone. They exist for that one bill, and that's it. That's the purpose of conference committees. Okay? They got to iron out the differences in those bills. And this is one of the reasons why sometimes making laws is really difficult, because you've got to get the House and the Senate to agree to the exact same text. Right? Now, something we've mentioned before briefly, but they won't ask you a whole lot directly about subcommittees, but just know that the committees themselves are broken down further into subcommittees. That's all we're going to mention about them. Question? Mm-hmm. Because the back and forth, they were like, look, it's easier to just send a couple representatives from the House and a couple from the Senate and say, let's work out the differences so that our people can agree on the same thing. Okay, now let's move on to the committee's work. Okay, legislation being one of them, that they're the ones in charge of writing the laws. Right? They're going to be doing the editing of the bills, and they're going to be the ones who consider what are the best policies moving forward. Right? So when you're a member of Congress, you become like an expert in certain fields. The more the experience you have on a committee, the more you understand it. It's like anything else. I mean, think about things in your own life. Like, for example, Kaiser, you were talking about working at Papa John's. Are there things that you become more aware of how to do your job better and faster the more you do it? Oh, yeah. And you're like, I know more about the pizza business than I ever want to. Oh, man. It's ridiculous. Now, legislation's important, but these next 2 are super important as well. Oversight. Congressional committees are involved in oversight. Charles, if I leave the room and say, Charlie, you got oversight responsibility for the whole room, what does that mean your job is? You got to watch out for the room. It's your job to oversee what's going on. Congressional committees oversee people too. All right? They oversee government agencies. They make sure government agencies are carrying out their jobs. They make sure that government agencies are carrying out their jobs, doing what they should be doing. They're like watchdogs. Now, here's the thing. We see headlines in the news when government agencies are behaving badly. Right? Here's an example. You all, where were you guys in 2008? You're like kindergarten. That's so great. All right. You all don't remember it, but in 2008, there is a major drop in the stock market. The housing market tanks, auto manufacturers suffered, insurance companies were going downhill. The market is plummeting. Okay? And most people don't know this, but there's a government agency, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and their job is to monitor the stock market and tell us or alert us when things like this are happening or what's going on, that there could be trouble. Right? And they didn't alert us. Right? When they don't alert us, congressional committee starts asking questions of the SEC, saying, hey, what happened? You guys dropped the ball. And when they start calling in people from the SEC, do you want to know why those people didn't alert us to a stock market crash? You're going to love this. They were too busy doing other things instead of their job. Like what? I'm glad you asked that question, Charles, because you're not going to believe it. I have a video for you. All right, so let's watch this video together, okay? You're gonna love this.